Tuesday with licensed professional counselor Unetta Spring.
All right, y'all, just talking out Tuesday on the Rick Smiley Morning Show. Help me welcome our therapy expert, licensed professional counselor, Unetta Spring. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
And September is all about self-care, and we hear that term so much, but what does it really mean when it comes to our mental health?
Yes. So we are wrapping up self-care in September, and, you know, our mental health is so tied to how we care for ourselves, right? How we feel is determined by how well cared for we are. You know, so as we're wrapping up this month, I really hope people are looking at what is working and what is not working in my self-care practices, and give yourself permission to pivot if something isn't working, knowing that you have permission to evolve. So one thing I want to share today is, y'all know I'm a trauma therapist, right? So I view everything with a trauma-informed perspective. And in my experience, there has been a direct correlation between poor self-care and trauma history. And one thing about trauma and adverse life experiences is they often keep you feeling stuck in what's familiar, right? So you become conditioned to believe that what's familiar is safe. And a lot of folks have become really comfortable and really familiar with dysfunction. And when I say dysfunction, I mean like you having to care for yourself so long that it feels okay. Like you don't even know or notice what you need, and it's uncomfortable to take care of yourself, and it's uncomfortable to ask for help, you know? So one thing I do is help folks understand where they are developmentally with their self-care practices, because trauma freezes us in time sometimes, and we can get stuck in the stage where our trauma occurred, right? So wherever that trauma happened for you, sometimes we get stuck in that place, and that impacts our self-care practices. So I created some developmental stages of self-care in my self-care workbook, and they're basically the newborn, toddler, school age, adolescent, adult, and elder. We can't get into all of them, but which ones do y'all want to get into today? Newborn, toddler, school age, adolescent, adult, or elder? Which one y'all think y'all want to get into?
I'd say school age. I say school age.
Yes. That's a good one because it's kind of right in the middle. And the school age, they're understanding like who they are. They're starting to understand like who they are in relation to others. And they're starting to understand what they need, but they feel guilty for asking for it. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I know what I need, but I feel guilty for asking for it because I'm afraid to lose connection, right? So they feel sad when other people don't want to play with them. So they feel bad for asking what they need because they don't want to lose that connection.
That's powerful because I feel like we still carry that. I don't know about everyone else, but sometimes I still feel that way, guilty or intimidated to ask for something that I want, you know?
Yep. So
yeah. So
why is that?
It's like really, I think it's how it was encoded, right? So how that message was stored in you. So for some people, this is what I'm finding. I'm still doing the research on it, but for some people, if they have like a trauma or something during that time, then it really impacts how they relate to self-care or what they feel comfortable with asking for. So I would invite people to think about, did something happen in my life around that time frame when I was just really starting to understand and learn what I want and what I need? And if so, it may be impacting the way you view self-care, right?
I think sometimes, Unetta, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I feel like sometimes when you're afraid that people are going to say no, you know, you be like, you might want to ask for, like, I don't always have cash. I always have my credit card. So when I need to tip a valet, somebody be like, dang. But I want to ask the people with me, like, let me get like a 10 or 20 to tip the valet. Because they going to look at you like, well, you ain't got the, you know, you just don't want to say no. Sometimes no is very intimidating.
Yeah. And even if it's from someone that loves you and won't judge you, you just don't want to ask.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you can really unpack where that comes from because there's always something underneath the surface of what we see, right? So it's really being able to dig into that. The goal is for us to be able to like recognize where we are, what stage we're in, because it'll fluctuate throughout our life and fluctuate in different situations. But we want to be able to evolve into elders in self-care, really being able to know how to fully care for ourselves and care for others. And knowing if you have challenges, you may need to talk to a therapist about it. I have a directory where you can find a trauma therapist in your state. Or you can head over to my website, YanettaSpring.com, and grab your free self-care resource I have for y'all. Or, of course, order your workbook on Amazon and start exploring your relationship with self-care. But these stages are, I'm telling you, they're so good. They help so many people out of being able to see, like, where they are and why they're there, and then how do I mature in my practices with self-care.
Oh, that's good stuff today, y'all. Hey, Yanetta, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, Talking About Tuesday here on the show is not meant to be a replacement for actually going to therapy, but it is a way to definitely get started, and you can always get more information on Yanetta's website, YanettaSpring.com. That's YanettaSpring.com. Thank you, Yanetta. Appreciate you so much. More with the Smiley Morning Show coming up.